They Boogie in the building. Oh man. J Boogie, you gotta go live and put some knowledge out there, bro.
Thank you, J Boogie, for this wonderful scope.
J Boogie in the building. Oh man. J Boogie, you gotta go live and put some knowledge out there, bro.
Thank you, J Boogie, for this wonderful scope.
J Boogie in the building. Oh man. J Boogie, you gotta go live and put some knowledge out there, bro.
Thank you, J Boogie, for this wonderful scope.
J Boogie in the building. Oh man.
J Boogie, you just make me want to lift every voice and sing till earth and.
All right, so there you got it. That is the show intro. The show intro for Lift Every Voice. The Boogie Show.
Boogie Show, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome to brand new viewers. I am Brother Jamal, aka J Boogie, if you don't already know that is. And let's get to it. Well, we have a series that I want to call MAGADOS. Okay? MAGADOS, or MAGA is, or ADOS is MAGA. Okay? And I know I may get some people irate over saying that, but guess what? I want everybody to, make up their own minds after I've shown them all the stuff that I've found out. Okay? So the series is going to be called MAGADOS. Okay? And it's a way for me to show everybody how the ADOS movement and the MAGA movement are actually linked in very surprising ways. And so yeah, I'm gonna have pictures and sounds and whatever. So buckle your safety belts. But before I do that, I want to just let everybody know this is gonna be a new series. I've actually started another series, as you guys can see here, ADOS Circus, and that one focuses on the stuff that I come across on Twitter and other platforms that the so-called ADOS movement I guess is involved in. So as you can see, this channel, there's not much going on. There's only like a few videos. I've only recently got I guess started using it again. I was actually using Periscope before, and I've kind of left that. There's other platforms, that are blockchain based that I use, but right now I'm just using YouTube for some of the stuff that I'm talking about. So my last video was about Jay-Z. I might do another one on that. So yeah, so basically, what I want people to start doing is to start contributing. Start contributing to these projects, to these series that I'm presenting and whatnot, because the information, the research, stuff is it's time consuming. And so what I do is whenever I have some time, I'll come on those platforms and I would share the stuff I come across, and because I do a lot of research and I read a lot. And depending on the topic, man, I'm always looking into something. And so I like sharing this stuff. So now, but I'm asking people to start contributing. So I'm going to have two options. There's going to be Patreon, which is, ongoing contributions. It could be $5 or more a month, whatever. Whatever you guys want to contribute. And then I'm going to have a one-time, if you want to give me something really, I don't know, as like a gift or whatever. I don't know. It's up to you. I have a link, Lift Every Voice, PayPal, and you could do a one-time thing. and you could come back again and do another one-time thing. It's up to you. But anyway, Patreon, Lift Every Voice, PayPal link. I need people to start contributing because I've been putting out information for years and years, just like that. But it's so time consuming now, and I'm gonna need people to start supporting these projects, right? So make contributions, y'all. Don't be afraid to do it, because the information that I do put out, I think people appreciate, and they'll tell me, they give me feedback. But now I need support, like Patreon support, Lift Every Voice, PayPal link support, that kind of contribution, because these projects and these series, they take time. So anyway, it's up to you guys. But I'm still gonna put out stuff, but I'll be more, I'll be encouraged to put out more stuff again if I get folks contributing and whatnot. Okay, at any rate, we'll come back to that. So this series is MAGADOS. It's, ADOS is MAGA, and I'm gonna put out the information. Don't get mad at me yet, but I'm gonna put out the information, and you guys are gonna decide for yourself, because that's what I encourage. I encourage people to think for themselves, and how, or if they don't, if it doesn't match up, if it doesn't connect. And I'm gonna try to bring out all the stuff that I've found out. And as you can see here, man, it's quite a lot of stuff that I've uncovered, man. I've got tax forms, man, like it's a lot. So that's why I'm gonna break it up into a series, and I'm gonna do segments every other day, or whenever I get a chance. And then man, I've found out so much stuff. It's fascinating, the things that I've uncovered. So it's gonna be ADOS's MAGA, the John Tanton link. So this is the first important thing I'm gonna drop, right? The first name, John Tanton, because this series is about me showing the links, like in terms of organizations, people, money, and ideology. Okay, this is what this series is about. I have to show you guys the link, right, between organizations, people of those organizations, the money, right, and ultimately the ideology that connects ADOS and the MAGA movement. Those of you that don't know, ADOS stands for American Descendants of Slaves, and we have here the co-founder by the name of Yvette Carnell. They have a website, ADOS 101. But I've been saying for months that they resembled the MAGA movement. Folks didn't want to believe me, so I have quite a lot of, receipts now. I've read dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of articles, watched hours of stuff, to kind of now feel very solid. But again, hey, I'm trying not to be polarized with this, I'm going to let people just kind of look into this themselves, look at the information, and then you decide, And so Yvette Carnell started ADOS, then MAGA. Everybody knows MAGA basically stands for Make America Great. Interestingly enough, right, a co-founder of ADOS is here wearing a MAGA hat. Now, she took that video down. We don't know why. At least we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. But she had a MAGA hat on. But she's talking ADOS, which is supposedly the total opposite. But we're gonna get into all of that, right? But again, it's about me connecting. This series is about me connecting organizations, the people of those organizations, and, right, the money and the ideology, which is the key thing, the ideological connection. And so I hope people enjoy this series. I pulled up a lot. So let's get into some of the articles, because I want to actually give you guys some bombshell information, some explosive information right now. Because it's going to get tedious and it's going to get really involved. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get into some of the stuff right now. And the most important thing is organizing, because the organizations, right, means that if they're working together, so that means there's people and organizations that are linked, right? So that's a very important thing. And some people have already started showing that, all right? So there's a brother that started talking about the links that go back 10 years ago, right? And they were starting to uncover people like John Tanton, right? John Tanton, I mentioned his name. This dude, right? This dude, John Tanton. Let me go back to my photos. Right here he is, right? That's John Tanton. He's the founder of FAIR. And here's the thing. There's links between organizations, people, money, and ideology. So here's the very first thing I want people to see. This graph I made myself. I didn't get off of Google or anything else. I made this one up myself with all the information that I compiled. This is the money link, right? The first thing we have to understand, we have to go back and see where all this money was flowing, right? So we got on top, we have the Thomas Mellon. Thomas Mellon was an Irish immigrant that migrated to the United States, obviously from Ireland, right? And he amassed a fortune through banking. So it's called the Mellon banking fortune, which he, and you please follow those green arrows, right? Which he then, after he, passed away, left over for one of his, I guess, heirs, right? Heiress, Cordelia May, and she just inherited a huge bag. And so what she started doing, she started to, give that money away to different organizations, different people. And the guy she ran into and started giving money to is John Tanton. And John Tanton took that money and started an organization called FAIR. And we're going to get into that organization in a minute. Now, there's other places that John Tanton got money, but we're going to talk about what he did with it, who he paid with it and stuff like that. And so here he is right here again, John Tanton, right? All right, let's get this right. John Tanton, and you see he gets money from the heiress. She dies in 2005, and in 1978 or 79 he starts FAIR, and then he starts another organization called CIS. I'm gonna get into all these organizations in this series. He starts Social Contract Press. Now, after May dies, she actually left a foundation called Colcom Foundation. And that foundation, guess what? Started dropping money left and right to quote-unquote black organizations. And here's the link. This is a very explosive. Now, there's people that brought this up, but I'm really gonna get into this right here and give people more info on it, because some people touched on it but they didn't really go in depth. And so this is very important. The first thing is the Colcom Foundation, which is from the heiress, right? The Mellon Foundation heiress. She's got all that big money. She basically was funding Leah Durant. And Leah Durant was actually working for John Tanton. And we're going to get into who Leah Durant is. But Leah Durant is connected to Choose Black America. And that's where we're going to focus our attention as far as how, ADOS is connected to MAGA. So this is right here, Leah Durant at the microphone. And guess who's behind her? Jesse Lee Peterson. Man, we're going to get into a lot in this series. So I'm only giving you guys a quick taste. Now I have tax paper, like tax, as far as, how much money was being doled out. All right, a good example is one right here. There's a website where you can actually go and get donor information. And you see the Colcom Foundation giving money to Progressives for Immigration Reform. Look at this. Look at the amount of money being poured in okay, to these guys. And all this information is actually, is accessible. People, if you dig enough, you'll be able to find this information. All right, so I can get into that again as the series rolls along. But let's go and figure out what's going on with Choose America, right? Now, even before we get into Choose America, there's 2 articles that came out on this heiress, right? Cordelia May. All this money that she has, and then she started to give it away, right? But she wasn't just giving it away, though. She had some type of purpose behind it. Okay, now listen to what the purpose was. In 2 articles, this is the first one that came out in New York Times. Cordelia May, an heiress to the Mellon family's banking and industrial fortune, was far and away the most important donor to the modern anti-immigration movement. Now, here's a very important link. You have the money bag in the person of Cordelia, and then the ideology, anti-immigration, right? Both now connected to 80. Well, I need to show how the money was flowing to quote unquote black organizations through Tanton. And now we have the ideology, which the ADOS, if you listen to them now, man, they're very, very much anti-immigration, right? And so you have the most important donor to modern anti-immigration movement during her lifetime. Now, more than a decade after her death, her money still funds the leading organizations fighting to reduce migration. So I'm not going to go and read through the whole article right now, but I'm just giving everybody a quick taste. This is how she looks. Again, there was 2 articles that came out. Now, here's the other thing. All right? Let me read this thing right here. It says, why an heiress spent her fortune trying to keep immigrants out. Newly unearthed documents reveal how an environmentally minded socialite became an ardent nativist. Now listen to this. I need to define this whole thing about nativism and nativists. So that's another thing to keep in mind. As the series goes along, I'm going to get into what nativists are. Right? So yeah, an ardent nativist whose money helped sow the seeds of the Trump immigration agenda. So there you go. Her money funneled through Tanton. Now let's go back to that little chart that I created, right? Her money that was, funneled through Tanton. And you see what Tanton did with the money, right? He took the money, he started fair, and then eventually the money started to get doled out to organizations. He built he created a whole lot of organizations. And here's the PFIR that I was telling everybody about, that Qualcomm Foundation. Qualcomm Foundation was giving them some money. Now, where did the Qualcomm Foundation money came from? There you go, Cordelia. All right? And she was supporting John Tanton. John Tanton is a big supporter of Trump, the Trump administration. So there you go. I'm showing the link between the people, organizations, right? And then we're going to get into the ideology. We're going to break down the ideology as well. Now, it's important when it comes to ideology that people have... I think I had this. Hopefully I can find it. Is it here? Okay, so it's very important that people understand ideology is also key here in connecting those two movements, right? But first, people have to understand key concepts, and those key concepts, I thought I had them in here, but people got to understand the master race theory, right? Aryan master race theory. Then you have nativism. Those are very key, important concepts to actually know. We also have eugenics, and we have environmentalism. So environmentalism and eugenics. So these are very key concepts that people are going to have to, keep in mind as we go along with this series. And so let me go through this quickly, because again, I just want to give you guys a little quick peek. But here's one of the organizations, right? that connects because that organization is funded through Tanton. Right? This is John Tanton. This is the guy that received, the money bags from Miss Moneybags, Miss May, Cordelia. And let's read a little bit about John Tanton. He was, because he just recently passed away, July, right? Last month, was an American ophthalmologist, white nationalist. This is directly from Wikipedia. Now, people, again, might argue with me, because I know people argue with everybody when it comes to sources. All right? Okay. Sources are important. So I'm not going to use the Southern Poverty Law Center. All right? I'm not going to reference them, and I'm not gonna source them like that. I might mention them later on, but everybody else was doing that. They were using the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I understand the issue that people might have. So, but guess what? I have tons of articles that did not involve the Southern Poverty Law Center. But I know some people are gonna jump up and say, "Well, you're using the New York Times." Well, the New York Times, for the most part, they'll give you information that if you look it up and you do research on your own, you can somewhat trust it. Yes, I understand the bias that might exist in the New York Times, and I understand the bias that might exist in pretty much everything, but it's up to you, the researcher, and people that's looking into the information to have discretion. Okay? So this is a little excerpt of who John H. Tanton, and we're gonna get in depth, and we're gonna we're gonna find out a lot more as this series goes on. But this is a quick appetizer right now. And yes, I've actually used this and researched all bits and pieces of that information. It's all coming out to be correct. I've cross-referenced it, and I can do that with you guys as well on here. So he was an American ophthalmologist, white nationalist, and anti-immigration activist. He was the founder and first chairman of the Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, an anti-immigration organization. He was the co-founder of Center of Immigration Studies, an anti-immigration think tank, and Numbers USA, an immigration lobbying group. You guys starting to get the theme here. He was the chairman of U.S. English and Pro English. He was the founder of Social Contract Press, which publishes the quarterly journal, The Social Contract. He founded the pro-eugenics organization, Society for Genetic Education. It's very important people get these things down, because I'm going to come back to them, but have these concepts down. Eugenics, nativism, environmentalism, also the Aryan master race theory. And we're going to connect all these things. Okay, so again, here's Cordelia May, Miss Moneybags, passing around her money. John Tanton gets some of it. He starts FAIR, and then here's all the organizations. But the organization I want to talk about that connects John Tanton, who is a big supporter of Trump, and then we have the ideological connection of anti-immigration, is we have Leah Durant. So let's go to Leah Durant, and let's go to Choose America. This is a very important organization, as you can see, CBA for short. And you can see Leah Durant, who was already working for Tanton and one of his other organizations, was actually called over to join CBA, which is Choose Black America. Right? That's what it stands for, Choose Black America. And she was joined by Frank Morris, who was already working for Tanton, right? And his other organization, CSIS, all right, which is a think tank. He started in 1986 or 85, I think. And then the IRLI, which is the Immigration Reform League, Reform Law Institute, or something like that. So, because Leah Durant's a lawyer, so Tanton, was paying her. He was paying Frank Morris, and then he got them all together, and he funded, as you can see, this red line going from FAIR to CBA. He funded and created CBA in 2006, and that is the link right there that connects our ADOS people. And as you can see, Leah Durant was part of PFIR, another creation of John Tanton. He tried to hide it, but, you know, people pretty much know that PFIR was started by John Tanton. It's part of his network. And Yvette Carnell, co-founder of ADOS, sits at that table, sits on the board. All right. And Tariq Nasheed. Yes, Tariq Nasheed, who talks about basically the same ADOS concept. Those people are all connected. You see this circle, this connecting red to Ted Hayes, and we're going to get into Ted Hayes. And also we can see that we got Jesse Peterson. Okay, Jesse Lee Peterson is connected in all of this as well, because they're all part of CBA, Choose Black America, which was started by Tanton in 2006. And we're going to get into that organization and really break it down so people can understand that. And I found out some really amazing things. Claude Anderson was part of that, and Claude Anderson is connected to Tariq. So we have the ideological connections, the money connections, the organizational connections, the people. It's all here. It's all here, y'all. So support, you know what I'm saying? Throw some contributions to those links. Let's look at Choose Black America. Let's look at some of the members. And we're going to get into each one of them. Right? Choose Black America. This was very difficult to find, y'all, because all the information about these guys were pretty much scrubbed. So I had to really dig. Some people just couldn't find anything, but I did, because, you know, I have some experience with this. And so as you can see Leah right here. That's Leah Durant. And guess who's behind her? That's right, Mr. Coon himself. Jesse Lee, well, at least they call him a coon. Jesse Lee Peterson. Right? And then you have Claude Anderson, pretty much a mentor of Tariq. And these are the other members. So I really went through a lot to find all this stuff. And all right, so here's Choose Black America. And that right there, I believe, is Claude Anderson, and there's Frank Morris. All right, so let's go down the list. There's Frank Morris. All right. Claude Anderson. Wow, founder of the Harvest Institute. And I'm gonna fill in all these more information under these guys as the series goes on. Ted Hayes. Well, I tell you, it's very important. James E. Klingman, Rosie Milligan, Quevin Fobbs, and look, Jesse Lee Peterson, recipient of Coon Train Award from Tariq. Terry Anderson, who passed away 2010. And we have Bishop Frank Stewart, Nathaniel Chisholm, and then we have Angelita Haran, and then we have Leah Durant. Leah Durant was part of Choose America, and she eventually left and she created BALA, which is Black American Leadership Alliance. She was part of Progressives for Immigration Reform, a Tanton created organization, or at least it's disputed. You know, people dispute that, but no one can dispute that Tanton started, right, Choose Black America, CBA, and they up until recently had a website, but that website is gone. But guess what? I was able to find it, because that's what I do, and it has all the information of everybody there. So all these people were supposed to be founders, and they were like, for the lifetime of Choose America, about 50 or so members. They didn't really have that much. They basically just faded away, you know. They faded away. So what I want to do is I want to get into all that, you know, good history, which if you don't dig and if you don't know how to research, you'll never find out. And I'm gonna break down this whole thing, man. How everything is connected, how these people are basically the same ideologically, the source of their money, and also how, a lot of folks that are part of our community basically went and started working with them and for them. It's a very fascinating thing. And again, I'm trying not to be polarized, obviously, I'm trying to be objective. But the information that I found out just digging, man, it's just shocking. Claude Anderson was actually, on a board with a dude that's considered a eugenist, a white nationalist, John Tanton, right? And he's on a board with a guy like Jesse Lee Peterson, who's universally seen as a coon, as they say, But again, and I'm using that word lightly. I'm not gonna, slam him with that. But it's interesting, man. It's very interesting. So the same guy that funds a lot of the Trump administration, people, is basically the source of a lot of the monies, right, that was being doled out. Now, this is very important. This guy, Ted Hayes, he's really an important connection because he's part of CBA. And I'm going to get into what he's been doing, I'll probably start doing that in the next part of this series. But he's very important. I've uncovered some videos about him where he was debating some people. But as far as ideology, man, he's pretty much on point and on par with what all of everybody is talking about. He's on point and on par with what everybody's talking about as far as the ADOS. So we're gonna get into him and in the next segments and whatnot.
We call it occupied LA.
So he's on here debating.
That's not racially cleansed out of jobs, housing, neighborhoods that once were black neighborhoods, Hispanic, Latino neighborhoods, mainly illegal aliens. And any black that goes in those neighborhoods, we get beaten up, we get attacked. We have
when we talk about employment
and let me finish, please.
All right, so we're not gonna get too deep into it right now, but I just want to give everybody a little quick preview of what they can expect when I do this series. There's a lot of stuff, man, a lot of articles. I'm going to read these articles that I found. I'm going to try to connect all these little dots for everybody. But again, do contribute, man. Throw something in the, collection plate, as Tariq would say, right? And so I could, be more interested in sharing this information because it's time consuming, right? And so I'm going to have 2 links. Don't forget. Also, if you're not following, follow, like the videos. And Patreon for ongoing contribution. And if you want to do something one time, one shot, the Lift Every Voice PayPal link, go ahead and use that. But I hope some of the stuff that I shared today is also, appreciated. But I'm going to get into it and flesh out more details. All right? Stay tuned. All right, y'all. Till the next one.